Alright, let's do this. Hello everyone, Mouse88 here with a brand new video, and today's subject is on tolerance. Now, I thought about doing this video for a couple of days now, and I know I'm late with the whole dumbass meme of the tolerant left, but I chose to go over tolerance because the idea of tolerance is something we in the left should consider by how far we should be tolerant of others. So as of writing this script, or when I wrote this script, I had no plans of how to cover this, so this video might be, well, not too long. It probably should be just around 7 or 6 minutes. So yeah, let's begin. Tolerance is something we all heard of and should know. It is basically putting up with people that either hold different beliefs, speak differently, or they come from somewhere different. To be tolerant doesn't mean you automatically dislike said person, even though there are instances where that is the case, but mainly you do not agree or like the characteristic of said person. For example, I have to tolerate that other people don't like pineapple pizza. That doesn't mean I dislike them, it's just that I don't agree with them. We shouldn't have to worry about being persecuted for holding certain beliefs that have no damaging effect to us as a society. Whether someone prefers Mac or PC, red or blue, or even something such as which painting looks good in a certain place of the house, these things are nothing that should be shamed, but can be disagreed upon. But what are the issues that tolerance has? Well, for one, depending on where you live, what is considered tolerant could have a negative effect on a group of people. Now, for instance, in America, we are taught to defend one's speech to the death. Well then, the question arises, what if that speech supports hatred, racism, sexism, and other forms of oppressive beliefs? Now, the idealist answer most people give is that the best idea will win. This liberal form of an argument is something that fails to point out the issues that are already faced by marginalized people, and that this speech could actually increase the suffering they face. We say the best ideas will win, but if the best ideas have truly won, wouldn't that mean people would have stopped making such obnoxious arguments? If it has, then the notion of the best idea will win is a sound argument. But if the speech continues and is cultivated by a group of people, then the notion is not sound, nor is it even valid. This creates an issue with tolerance, as it becomes a Hegelian dialect. Now, why a Hegelian one? Because tolerance is not material, but an idea we enact upon. Now, being tolerant can affect our material world by a number of ways. For example, the fact we show tolerance to people of other cultural backgrounds has led an increase to our understanding of the world in exchange and trade, and become better by working together to advance fields of study such as science and the arts. Another example is that of us showing tolerance to people that uphold a reactionary viewpoint, which has hurt us in some areas, whether that be hindering civil rights, protection under the law, or letting false information fly freely, has harmed our society in a negative way. The only reason we continue to do this is we can uphold this idyllic notion of freedom, which actually leads into another issue. Now, in America, people pride themselves of being free, or so they think, but they hold this with pride because in America, we are indoctrinated to uphold the Enlightenment as the holy dogma. I made a video on that, link will be in the description below. Now, the idea of freedom of speech is mainly protects this. That whatever idea you want to express, you're allowed to do so, as long as it doesn't have slanderous remarks or threatening a group of people or person. If you say something that sounds like a murderous threat or a terroristic threat, you can be charged with a felony. And as for slander, someone can sue you if they feel you are damaging their character. 2. Private property. Now, private property has the freedom to platform certain beliefs and ban others since it is their property. For example, if you spread false information, say, on a site such as Twitter, they have the right to delete it or add something disproving your claim. They are using their free speech to protect their property. So the idea of this freedom is so that everyone can feel free to express their opinion. Now we have to remember that freedom is a privilege that we have under this capitalist society. There are certain viewpoints that are allowed to be expressed while others cannot. For example, if anything is too critical of the system, it is easily shut down, but if it's anything pro-liberalism or pro-quote-unquote democracy, it is heavily supported. The other issue of this freedom is that it has been used to hinder other people's freedoms. For example, the freedom that has been used to discriminate against marginalized people have denied their freedoms to such groups such as the LGBTQ+, racial and ethnic minorities, religious minorities, and even women. Not to mention, the speech used against these people have also used to influence violence and hatred against an already marginalized group. This is the so-called price of freedom, and such a price, I would argue, is not worth it. The issue of freedom suffers from the same issue of tolerance. It is a Hegelian dialect that needs to be resolved for the sake of how people are to act. Yet in this country, such a dialect has been slowly resolving, and this has resulted in violence against minorities, protected classes, and for the most part, reactionary thinking being still relevant. So, again, for the sake of this so called freedom, we have seen a rise in reactionary thinking and hatred against minority classes. Even though there has been some improvements, these improvements are not by much. For this, again, because since people want to maintain these individual rights and these idea of states' rights, it hasn't been fully, well, beneficial to everyone within the United States. Now, this does also have to do with the issues of capitalism. In fact, that's where most of this stems from. But with only being tolerant, we are not allowed to ill tolerate the intolerant. Now, I can hear the arguments now. But we can be intolerant to the intolerant. All you have to do is argue, show research, and debate them. That is not what I mean. What I mean is we should shut these people down and critique them and show the masses why they are wrong. The main difference, of course, is in my goal is to shut them down. Whilst the liberal wishes for them to keep their voice, to squash out reactionary rhetoric, we must shut down those that only seek to push it. The way to do so is through a cultural revolution in the process of critique and self-critique. We must combat the liberal idea that in order to have free speech, we must be tolerant of everything. We can still have our own opinions on certain meaningless things, such as which food tastes good and what color is our favorite and what dress looks good. What we should shut down and critique are ideas that are harmful, such as the phobias against the LGBTQ, the hatred towards a racial and ethnic group, metaphysical thinking that is being pushed among the masses, and most important of all, liberalism. To be intolerant is not a bad thing within itself. It depends on where said intolerance aims itself. Now, how does this affect leftism? Now, we as leftists are only tolerant insofar as to what is scientifically certain, logically possible, and what doesn't have a net negative effect on the masses. We are tolerant to those that wish to help uplift the masses and contribute to revolution, science, and art. We don't hate people for the sake of hatred or because of some dumbass conspiracy theory, but are intolerant to them if they hold/spread ideas that damage the collective society as a whole, to which, in that case, they should be critiqued and engaged in self-critique in order to learn why they are wrong. They should be shut down if they continue to spread such reactionary nonsense on purpose. This is the answer to the issue of tolerance. In order to protect the people from prejudiced falsehoods that will harm other people, you must have no tolerance to the intolerant by not platforming them. So, to basically sum it up, leftists are tolerant, but we are not tolerant in the liberal sense of the word. So that about sums it up for today, about 8 minutes. I am glad I went over this topic because tolerance has basically been used lately as either a straw man or a projection from the right. I guess a nirvana fallacy is the closest I can compare it to. But that's neither here nor there. I just hope you learned something today, and this video took a more philosophical approach like my earlier vids, but I feel I did it justice. So, that being said, like if you like it, dislike if you dislike it, critique me if you have any issues as to what I said, and don't forget to subscribe. This is Miles98 signing off. And also, if you're out there protesting or rioting, make sure you wear your mask, make sure you bring a weapon just in case some reactionary fuckhead tries to harm you, and also remember to be careful, okay? Please, be safe.